It is time now for Vin's Side Out as we welcome in Vin Parise. And Vin, we know that Vincent's Clam Bar from Carl Place catered the selection show party for St. John's, but I want to know where Coach Pitino and Coach Cal are going to go eat in their old stomping grounds of Providence, Rhode Island. But Vin, let's get to some more important thoughts. What was your immediate reaction when you saw the bracket come out for St. John's? That
you could forget that theory that the committee doesn't worry about storylines. Let's be honest.
Whoever
now.
said that?
I mean, you look at Providence, Rhode Island, they claim, no, we just look at the metrics. You got Rick Pitino, John Calipari as a potential second-round matchup in the round of 32. Oh, and by the way, Bill Self and Matt Painter is up there. Hall of Famers galore. The Ocean State's going to be rocking and rolling. I like the draw. The 2-15 game. Omaha winners out of the Summit League. Their leading scoring rebounder, the senior. I think the Johnnies get past and move on to the round of 32.
And then we get Cal and Rick Pitino. Hopefully, one can only hope. Obviously, Kansas might have something to say about that. But this team, St. John's, 8-2 when trailing at the half. We saw that in the semifinals and the championship game of the Big East tournament. Vin, what is the key for this group and its ability to take it up in the second half?
No, it's a great point. And I tell you, spent a lot of time, as you know, around the team and around the coaching staff this year. I think it's more about the opponent. Eamon, they wear you down. You could come out and play a decent first half against them. It's the second 20 minutes that's the issue. They could switch 1 through 5. Zuby Ejiofor could hold it down with a point guard off their pick and roll defense. Their ball pressure is elite. They control the paint. They have active hands. Kadari Richmond's one of the best defenders on the perimeter in the nation. I think it's more about how they wear people down, how difficult it is to truly score against them.
Yeah, they are relentless on D. All right, Carlos Mendoza and the Mets have been nearly 1,200 miles away in Port St. Lucie for more than a month, but that hasn't stopped the skipper from noticing the success of the Mets' Queens neighbor.
Shout out to St. John's, representing Queens. How about that? Yeah, 25 years, right? So shout out to them, representing. So that was big. That was big yesterday. Got in after the game last night, watching, got cut the end of it. It was pretty cool.
Coach Pitino?
What's up?
Did you call Rick Pitino?
No, yet. let him enjoy it, right? That's coming.
Why do I get the feeling Coach Pitino is going to have some pretty good seats at Citi Field this year?
He knows he's a Yankee fan, right?
It doesn't matter. When the free seats are offered, you take them. All right, Vin, you've been around this team all year. You were at the Garden for the Big East tournament. What's the electricity like surrounding this St. John's team in New York right now?
I'll tell you what, Eamon, I don't mean to sound dramatic or go over the top, but, coaching and covering this sport for the last 25 years, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they were preseason pick 5th back on Big East Media Day in October. This program, fan base, they would have taken just making the tournament this year. The fact that in year 2, they're one of the best teams in the country, winning the Big East outright, dominating the regular season, dominating the conference tournament. This is like UConn of the past 2 years, and the Garden crowds and the electricity has been off the charts.
You mentioned it. They were picked 5th preseason, but we all focus now on getting to the Final Four, maybe winning a championship. It's all March Madness. But put in perspective what winning the Big East tournament at Madison Square Garden means to St. John's basketball.
Well, just think about it. These last 72 hours, they have been the talk of the sport, regardless of what's going on in the SEC and all of this other stuff nationally. I think it puts them in a position to where really now the coaching staff, between the NIL support, but also about players that want to develop and get to the next level, they're going to come play for Rick Pitino. Listen, say what you want about Kadari Richmond, Zuby Ejiofor and R.J. Lewis were not supposed to be this good. It's the player development of Coach Pitino and the staff.
Combine that with his acceptance and, sort of embracing NIL in the transfer portal. A lot of guys, his contemporaries, bowed out because of the NIL. He sort of embraced it, and now he, has a plan. He says, look, we're not even recruiting high school guys. We want men to come in next year.
No, and look at the way the rules are changing in the NCAA. You could go to junior college now for 2 years and then still have your 4 years of eligibility. They're given 5 years across the board. They're going to be in a position to get great players. Playing for Coach Pitino's not for everybody. You have to have an unreal work ethic, but look at the way this team improved.
Yeah, you got to love 25-year-old freshmen. All right, we didn't get that UConn St. John's championship game in the Big East, but they could meet with the Final Four on the line. The champs are the 8th seed in the West region, open up against Oklahoma. Vin, what's going to be the biggest challenge for Dan Hurley's club taking on the Sooners?
I tell you what, you look at the first round matchup, and I think they're okay because Oklahoma came in 13th place in the SEC. Yes, they're very talented. Jeremiah Fears is still a freshman, though. I think the Huskies are all right in the 8-9 game. It's getting past the round of 32. I think that one seed, it's going to take a major upset to advance, but I think Dan Hurley's Huskies are in good shape for the first round.
All right, but you mentioned obviously a tough matchup. When you look at this Connecticut team, what do you know Dan Hurley can rely on, but more importantly, maybe what's missing right now?
I'll tell you, they get after you defensively. They share the rock. It's not just about solo ball and Liam McNeely. I mean, they have other options that they could go to. They get inconsistent sometimes in terms of rebounding the basketball, putting those defensive stops together. When they lost Friday night to Creighton in the semis, they stayed the night in New York City, and they got up the next morning, and Dan Hurley had a marathon, multi-hour film session with this crew Saturday morning about the defensive breakdowns the night before they got on the bus to go back to Storrs, Connecticut. So like I say, they will be ready to roll in that 8-9 game in the first round. I think they're okay versus Oklahoma. But that next matchup, let's be honest, that's
a tough one.
That's a tough one.
All right, you're going to be ready to roll for March Madness. How many brackets did you fill out on the train ride in?
Like 7 or 8.
Seven or eight,
I like
right.
to
Somewhere in
give
there,
myself
there's a winner.
options to spin it either way.
There you go. All right, Vin Parise, thanks as always.